If I had to start again today as a photographer, there's a whole lot of things that I would do differently that I didn't 12 years ago. So in this video, I want to outline some of those things that will help you reach your goals maybe a little bit quicker and save you a few of the headaches that I've had over this last decade. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Sergio and I'm a commercial photographer here in Victoria, BC. I want to spend this video talking about the mental barriers and the shortcomings that happen in photography, not so much the gear that you have to buy. So if that's what you're interested in, you can click this video right over here and see that you need two of everything. But for this video, I want to focus on those little intricacies that we don't really talk about in this photography world. See, being a full-time photographer, being someone who is trusted with a camera in their hands, you kind of no longer become a cameraman at that point. You're just another business. You're just another freelance creative business. When you're in business as a photographer, the photography is secondary. It's the relationships that you're creating with these people, and that's what you really want to focus on first and foremost. Look at your network, look at the people who are around you already, and keep growing and keep diving into that. You have friends, you have people that you know, there's people in your surroundings that might own a business or that might like cooking or that might have really crazy hobbies that have a bunch of other equipment like fishing or whatever it is. Look at those people, look at the network that you do have, try to grow your photography within that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, if I don't know the right people, I'll never make it in photography. But none of us know the right people when we start. That's what we're doing. What we're doing throughout this career is growing that network and learning who is around us that could benefit our business and how can we benefit their businesses. Our skill happens to be creative and it happens to have a camera in our hands, but it's about helping other businesses and making sure that they profit. If another business can profit, they'll be more than happy to pay you for your services. If you're not used to doing this yet, I want you to just tell everybody that you're a photographer. Tell yourself you're a photographer. This is what you do. This is who you are. This is part of your being. This is what you like to do. If people come up to you and they're asking you like, oh, what is it that you do? Don't say you're an IT specialist and you like taking pictures. Just say you're a photographer. Trick your own mind. Tell yourself that like, oh yeah, this is the thing I want to do. This is the direction I want to go in. And people need to know that. As a beginner photographer, one of the things that is probably hardest to overcome, especially in the first couple years, is to take a look at your ego, give it a nice, big, strong hug, and then like shove them in a closet and never talk to them again. It is much more embarrassing to give up than it is to make a mistake. It is so much worse to quit than it is to fail. Failing is not quitting. Failing is stopping. Failing is giving up. So if you're making mistakes, you're doing the right thing. You're on the right path. You're making sure that you're learning from those mistakes. You're not going to know what you're making a mistake on if you don't make that mistake to begin with. I have a slight gripe with art students or people who learn all of the art around the photography without actually doing the photography. It's not one or the other, it's both. Whether you go to school or you're on YouTube or you're in the streets just learning it, you are going to have to learn it eventually anyway. There is no, like, you can learn all the theory in the world, but if you don't have any practice, you're not going to be a good photographer. You can have all the practice in the world, and if you don't have a whole lot of theory, you're probably not going to know what you're doing, and you're probably going to have no idea why it is that some images work, some images don't. So the more you can understand both sides of that coin, the better you're going to be as a photographer. The more you're going to grow, the more you're going to be on this right path to becoming this full-time successful photographer. If you're coming at this from like an artist's point of view and a photography purist point of view, the business of photography is going to ruin that for you. Being in a advertising space, being in a commercial space, being in a space where you're working with others in order to achieve their goals, in order to make yourself some money so that you can keep doing this again and keep going and keep going and keep going, there's a whole lot of separating yourself from your photography. If you are gung-ho on a vision and you know exactly what it is that you want from day one and you're like, I'm only going to shoot this kind of stuff and this is the audience is going to find me eventually and I have enough of a trust fund that I don't need your money and I don't need to accept every single job that comes my way, cool, good for you. Congratulations. But for the vast majority of us, there's going to be selling your soul a little bit for the act of pursuing this career. And I don't mean that you have to give up your ethics and you have to give up who you are as a person. I just mean if you don't like shooting events, you're probably going to end up shooting a couple events. Even if you don't like shooting product, there's going to be at one point someone who sends you a product and is like, hey, can you just take some shots of this? Throughout your career, you're going to be forced to shoot a whole lot of things. And you have to just be comfortable with the idea that you have a camera in your hands and that's the job. The idea of being able to take pictures, that's the blessing that we have. It's not about only shooting with Lexus and only getting to drive all of their cars and getting an LFA as a take-home gift. That's not photography, maybe to some, but for the vast majority of us, it's just grinding from one job to the next. And there's maybe a little overlap. After you shoot 300 restaurants, maybe it's going to be a bit easier to book your 301st restaurant. But for the most part, you're kind of starting again from scratch with every new client. You're not going to get only the jobs you want. You're not going to get only the types of clients that are perfect, that are exactly in your niche, and that is like they're going to pay you super well. And you're figuring it out. You're grinding throughout a decade, throughout your whole life. If this is a career path that you want to go in, know that this career path is there's no stability. The only stability is within like-minded businesses and maybe getting a huge contract with a single business that pays you throughout multiple years or some kind of retainer. But the vast majority of us are just freelance. You're going from one job to one job to one job to one job. Your paycheck is whenever they decide to pay you. Sometimes you're going to have to beg and plead for stuff that's owed to you. And by sometimes, I mean I'm still doing this today, 12 years later. That's part of the job. That's part of this whole world that we love so much. There's a lot of things that aren't that great. And it's just another career path, I guess. When you think about it, you're going to hate your job or you're going to hate aspects of your job wherever you are. If those aspects still involve you having a camera in your hands, I think that's a win-win for me. At least that's what I've decided for my life and my career. And if you're feeling similar, then maybe then this is going to be all right for you. If this is the worst case scenario that a client isn't paying you for jobs that you already did, that's pretty good. At least you have clients that want to work with you to begin with. There's a lot that goes into photography. And I think if you can zoom out and look at your career, your life, the next 40 years of your life with a camera in your hands, overall, I think you'll be a lot more happy than the other little intricacies of complaining for any other job that you might have. One of the most important pieces of advice that I could probably give my younger self is to just set attainable goals. I've always been the type to just go by the seat of my pants and just wing it and figure it out along the way. And sure, that has gotten me the vast majority of the things that I have today. And that's pretty cool. But every time that I set clear, identifiable goals for myself, I reach them. For the most part, I think I reach them. I'm definitely much more able to set a goal that's make a video next Thursday rather than hit 1 million subscribers by next Friday. Setting something that is small, that is reachable, that is putting one foot in front of the next is going to keep you going along this path of photography. I know I gave a YouTube example, but whatever it is, whatever genre, whatever world that you're in, set yourself a goal for next week. Set yourself a small, reachable goal, maybe a little bit outside of your grasp to push you a little bit, to put you into something uncomfortable. But that's what's going to make you a better photographer. That's what's going to keep you on this creative, just trying to push yourself, trying to get better, trying to just constantly grow your business, grow your photography, grow your skills, all of that. That's what you want to do as a photographer. If you're just thinking my goal is to be a full-time photographer, that's too vague. That's too out there. That's too far away. Think about, I want to send 40 emails this week. How about that? Make yourself a goal that you can actually control and not something that is under other people's control. You don't have, my goal is to have all my clients pay me before the end of the month. That's not within my control. So that's not a good goal. But having my goal be putting the effort in to make sure that all my clients this month get their edits back, that's a goal. That's something that's going to, oh, okay, well, now I'm done with those edits. Now I have to do something else because I'm bored. So I'm going to work on the next client. If you, like for me, this is maybe a specific one, but for me, like if I procrastinate sending photos back, that means I always have something to do. So that means I don't need to worry about getting another client or getting the next client because I'm still working on the last one. So a little bit of that, a little bit of more like fire under your butt, it's going to help you as a photographer. You want to find yourself in a situation where you're building this creative momentum. You're building this. It's easier to take the next step when you've already taken. It's easier to take the next step when you've already taken one step. It's a lot easier to keep the ball going than it is to get the ball going. So build that momentum, build that discipline, build that understanding that it's literally just one foot in front of the next, one step in front of the next, and that's how you reach your goals. That's how you kind of elevate your photography and get to this next level. It's just one small step at a time, and then you look back at 6 months of progress and you're like, oh, I guess there has been a bit of a change. But in the granular day-by-day stuff, you don't notice that. You just notice the grind, and you notice the clients that haven't paid you, and the jobs that you're not landing, and the jobs that everyone else around you is landing. That's what you notice in the day-to-day, but that's okay. Like there's going to be other jobs, there's going to be other clients, there's going to be other days with a camera in your hands. Just keep going. Just keep understanding that this is a long career path. It's so valuable to work on this marketable skill that you're doing for yourself as a photographer. There's a bit of a recession-proof-esque-ness to it when you think about the skill that you're building for yourself. If you're working for a company, pushing numbers, doing whatever it is that you're doing for another company, you're helping that company. And if that company goes down, then you're screwed. You're shit out of luck, as they say. But if you are working on a personable, marketable skill, something that you can do and only you can do, no matter what happens to the economy, it might slow down. It might, the jobs that, or the niches that you're working in might go away. They might disappear. But your skill and your creative entrepreneurialness, your entrepreneurship is still with you. It's still going to carry you for the rest of your life. So growing this skill, growing this ability to be tenacious and to understand that there is a bigger picture than just the daily photos, that's what will land you this full-time career as a photographer. Worrying about the individual little things day to day will do nothing but stress you out. And I know that it's easier said than done. I also stress out about these things too. But looking at that big picture, looking at the zoomed out idea of a career in photography, you'll see that there are lulls. It's not a steady, I've been working for the same company for 15 years. I'm obviously going up. I'm like the bosses above me are retiring and I get to move up, whatever it is. That doesn't exist in photography. But you're going to have crazy good months and crazy crappy months and really ridiculously good years and not so good years. But if you can look at that and see it as a 20-year career, 40-year career, whatever it is, it'd be like, oh, okay, it's actually not so bad. This whole time, I've literally only had a camera in my hands, and I've been meeting hundreds of people every year, and I get to just be creative for a living. That's the dream. That's the real goal of any of us who get into photography. Being able to do this all the time, not in a carefree way, because there's always going to be some stressors. I don't think there's any level in which stress goes away. If anything, the more I make, the more stress I have. I don't know if you guys can see all the gray hairs that have come up on my head since we started this YouTube channel. But it's still fun. It's still great. I still have a camera in my hands. I love what I get to do. And if you're just starting out in photography today, keep going. It's going to be a long road. There's going to be some crappy months. There's going to be some great months. And I guarantee that you're going to have access to so many new places and so many new experiences, new food, new everything that you wouldn't have otherwise had access to if you didn't have a camera. So keep going. You're going to love it. I hope you like this video, guys. Maybe subscribe if you haven't. I'll see you in a couple days. Later.